into the next finding in the report that I wanted to highlight, which is around technology budgets a little bit more specifically, and the growing responsibility of the CIO for not just technology within the IT department, but across the business. So along those lines, we found that the CIO's purchase power is growing, and again, not in just traditional IT realms, but they're looking at evaluating, researching, and purchasing tech for human resources, for finance and accounting, executive and admin roles, marketing. I think the stat was that 70%, 70% of CIOs expect for departmental tech budgets to shift to IT in the next 12 months. So this is also sort of a call to action for marketers as well, is I would assume, and let me know if this is what if this reflects what you're speaking with CIOs about, but are they now having to become more involved in not just the tech specs, but maybe what, say, the finance department needs to accomplish, what their goals are? Are they having to get a little bit more in depth with those departments than they maybe would have been a few years ago?
100%. I mean, I interviewed Ed McLaughlin, who's the president and CTO of MasterCard globally, and we really talked about building that global organization, both internally and externally. So, it's not about just scalability of investment for your customers. It's about scalability of investment for your inside teams and how you're working together. He really talked and focused on building tech hubs, and serving the customers in over 210 countries, which was a huge remit for him. So, maybe we can tune into what he has to say about it and come back and chat about it a little bit more. So I talked to a lot of CIOs around the globe, and there's been a trend in the last little bit around the CIO being both the technology leader and the business leader. So I had the CIO of the National Bank of Canada, Julie Levesque, to talk about that and say that, the CIO must be bilingual. So, and she was like, both business and technology. And if you don't have business, go get a business degree. Had a CIO in the UK talk about the CIO orchestrating the business. So, basically being like the conductor and, bringing business together and understanding all those pieces like you would in an orchestra. So I wanted to talk about that from the standpoint of your role. You just talked about some major implementation of tech and people and bringing that together. But I would love to learn your role as a business leader and how you build that alongside technology.
Well, it's funny. A while ago, we had a kind of legendary CEO who loved to say how MasterCard was a technology company. And I always say, well, MasterCard's a technology company and we run technology by the transitive property of equality. Therefore, we're running the company, which is also how you learn formal logic only gets you so far in life. But I think there is a real truth to that, where most companies, I would say, used to have products that were supported by technology. It was more of a back office. And I think the reason why so many people are saying, actually, it is a technology company is with this physical digital convergence, with this digitization of everything. Now our products, our services, our delivery channel to our customers is through technology. So it becomes important in a very, very different way than it ever was before. So not only digital, the new medium by which I think almost all of us do business, I think technology is the 7 leg boots. That's where this applied research can massively transform and accelerate what we're doing through data, through processing, through analytics. So you've gone from being, a cost center to the primary asset of the organization. Unfortunately, it doesn't mean you get to spend more, but you do think about your assets differently than how you think about cost centers. So I think our job, our obligation to the company is, because we're the folks who actually understand how it works. The only way you can truly have a strategy, the only way you can map out the way forward in this progressively digitizing world, is if you have that deep and profound understanding, both of what the business is trying to accomplish and the assets you actually have, how the technology actually works. And when things get off the whiteboard and somebody's got to do something, that's us. And I see so many times that the ability to intervene or inform from an engineering standpoint, how it can lead to the actual success of the business outcomes we're looking for. So I love the bilingual line. And I always say it's like our role and responsibility to be able to think left brain, right brain, or on both sides of the equation. There's really no other job in the business that does that.
Yeah, no, I think that that is so true. And certainly I'm hearing it from anybody I interview now, that that business aspect is so connected. And then that pivot from companies now to being tech companies and really understanding what drives the technology innovation, the implementation. You have a lot of CIOs talking about, the customer. I'm sure it is in your, well, it is in your space because we talked about this already, the customer, the end user being the most important. And almost working from that space, coming backwards to looking at how the technology can implement.
Okay, so he uses the word bilingual there, which I think is just a great way to talk about this, because it's sounding to me, what he's saying is that like today's CIO sort of needs to be part marketer, part accountant, part human resources officer, like really stepping outside of their realm more than they've had to do in the past. Which again, I think is a huge opportunities for tech marketers to understand that they need to help CIOs probably get up to speed on some of these things, make their lives a little bit easier when evaluating this software through their content. But I mean, what is that like for CIOs? Is there anything that tech vendors can do specifically to help them?
I'm going to go back to the bilingual. That was actually Julie Levesque, who's the CIO of National Bank of Canada, who said that. She's actually French Canadian, so I thought she meant we had to be bilingual. But no, she said, you have to be both the business and the tech leader. She went as far as to say, actually, that if you don't understand business and you're in technology right now, go get a business degree. So anyone that's marketing to an individual that's a CIO, you want to really make those assumptions probably that they are really delving into that business part of their work. Graham Bryce, who's a CIO in the UK, said to me, he took it further. I mean, this was an amazing conversation at just all levels because it started with Julie and then it went on. He talks about the orchestration of the business, right? They're a online travel company. So he said, it's not just bilingual, it's the orchestration. It's like basically if the piccolo's up high here and the bassoon's down here, how do we bring it together and create that business flow that we need to flow? So I think if you're a tech marketer or vendor, you definitely want to, look at that and really understand that the CIO is really digging into understanding the business and orchestrating it or running it or being bilingual around it. And, I think that's a really substantial thing that's happening. Our report, and I've been asking this question, mentions that 79% of CIOs feel that they have an educational remit or role with the CIO, the CEO, and the board of directors. And every time I tell someone that stat, they just shake their head and they go, yes, 100%, absolutely, you're right. So I don't know if that helps shed some light on it, but that's certainly what I've been hearing.
You read my mind. I was going to reference that stat. I know we don't really have a question around that one, but yeah, they are the ones that are tasked now with that responsibility of not just educating on the need for the tech, but really the 30,000 foot view as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I always laugh, many of the people I talk to have been in their careers for some time. And there was a show in the 80s called The IT Crowd. The guys are in the basement at the business, you know it, right? And somebody brings their, calls down and says, my laptop's not working, and says, have you turned it on and off again? Yeah. I think we all went through, have you turned it on and off again with our technology, even us, right? But now we're at this very sophisticated time in history that really you need to use as many resources as possible to make sure, you're interacting with the CIO in a way that's going to be beneficial to them, beneficial to their companies, and in the end, benefit your organization as well.
Yeah, absolutely.